In this video, I'm going to talk about 8 things that I will never do as a millionaire because they quietly destroy wealth, and most people don't even realize it. If it's your first time here, hey, I'm Ida. I was a single mom for 8 years, and I went from struggling just to get by to becoming financially free. And now I'm here to share what I've learned so you can get there faster. If you haven't, like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more content like this. Okay, let's dive in. First, I will never rely on only one income source. I used to be an HR director, and I've been through a lot of company restructures. I can't even count how many times I had to tell amazing people that it was their last day. Not because they did anything wrong, but because the company changed direction. I still remember there was this one time, one employee who had just bought a house a few months before the layoff. When I broke the news, he just sat there in silence for a long time. Another time, an employee broke down crying because she was the only one in her family with a steady paycheck. Those moments stuck with me. They made me realize that relying on a single income source, no matter how stable it seems, is risky because I'm basically putting my future in someone else's hands. And layoffs happen way more often than people think. In 2024, global unemployment hovered around 5%, and job cuts in big economies hit their highest level since 2020. It's just a reminder that no job is ever 100% safe. So I make sure I have at least 3 to 5 streams of income. Things like investments, side businesses, and real estate. And having multiple income streams does a few big things for me. First, if one slows down, the others keep me steady. Second, it helps me grow wealth faster because I can reinvest. Third, I reduce dependency on any one boss, company, or industry. And research backs this up. A study found that 65% of self-made millionaires had at least 3 streams of income. 45% had 4, and 30% had 5 or more. So if you want to build real wealth, this is one of the best places to start. Second, I will never treat taxes like a punishment again. I used to think taxes were just something that took my hard-earned money away. But now I realize I was looking at it all wrong. As the saying goes, nothing is certain except death and taxes. Since taxes are inevitable, I choose not to resent them. Instead, I play by the rules. Taxes are not just a bill you pay. They're actually a roadmap for building wealth. It tells you what the government wants you to do and gives you tax breaks when you do it. For example, in the US, let's say person A earns $100,000 a year from a regular job. After federal and state taxes, they might pay around $25,000 to $30,000 in taxes, depending on where they live. Then they use what's left, around $70,000 to $75,000 to pay for food, rent, gas, and everything else. Now, person B also makes $100,000 a year, but through a small business. The difference? They can deduct business expenses, things like their laptop, phone bill, internet, travel, meals with clients, maybe even part of their home office. Let's say those legitimate expenses add up to around $30,000. Now, they only pay tax on the rest $70,000, not the whole $100,000. That could easily save them $6,000 to $8,000 or more in taxes. That's not tax evasion. That's just understanding the rules and playing smart. Setting up a business is just one legal way to reduce your tax obligations. There's so many other ways. For example, earnings from dividends or capital gains are often taxed at lower rates than regular income. For real estate investors, they can claim yearly depreciation write-offs even if their property increases in values. Also, contributing to retirement accounts lets your money grow tax-deferred. Even charitable donations can cut your taxable income, giving back while saved on taxes. So instead of thinking taxes are taking my money, ask what behaviors does the tax code actually reward? Here's the next big one. I will never consume before I create. Here's one big difference I've noticed between average people and the wealthy. Most people spend hours just consuming Netflix, TikTok, binge-watching shows, and scrolling endlessly. It feels relaxing in the moment, but it drains your most valuable resources, which is your time and your attention. Wealthy people do the opposite. They create first. They write books, build businesses, launch online courses, or invest in things that generate income. They create value before they consume entertainment. For me, I realized that if I start my day by consuming content when I'm still full of energy, I'm basically giving my best hours away. So I made it a rule. I only consume after I've created something meaningful. That means I start my mornings with creation, like working on my business, planning investment, or writing content. That's non-negotiable. And this simple change made a huge difference. My creation always comes first, and my consumption becomes a reward, not a distraction. Next up, I will never avoid talking about money openly. Most people avoid money conversations. They don't feel comfortable talking about it and maybe think it's awkward, even rude, or that people would judge them if they don't have everything figured out. But wealthy people do the opposite. They talk about money all the time. Their investments, their mistakes, their strategies. It's not bragging, it's learning. And actually, research shows that when people talk openly, like sharing ideas, getting feedback, discussing their thoughts, they generate better ideas and see more opportunities than when they stay silent. And this is exactly my experience. Years ago, I started reading books to really understand financial literacy. I talk about investments with friends over dinners, and now I shared what I've learned here with all of you. So give it a try. You never know. Maybe even one honest conversation with a friend or someone you look up to can change how you think and how you build real wealth. Now, onto the fifth one. I never just focus on income, but net worth. Income does not equal wealth. I know people who make $200,000 a year but are still living paycheck to paycheck. No savings, no investments, just bills and debt. Meanwhile, someone earning $60,000 can quietly build $500,000 in assets over time by saving consistently, investing wisely, and spending less than they earn. That's why I don't ask, how much do I make each month? I ask, how much do I worth? It's not about how much money comes in. It's about how much stays, grows, and works for me. This mindset changes everyday decisions. For example, instead of buying the latest iPhone, I might put that $1,000 into an index fund. I also think twice before upgrading my car. That same money could become a down payment on a rental property. Over time, these decisions quietly grow my net worth, and that's what builds real financial freedom. Number 6, I never avoid good debt. Not all debt is created equal. Good debt is leverage. It's the money you borrow to buy things that grow in value or make you money. For example, if you borrow at 5% interest to buy a rental property that's appreciating 8 to 10% a year and bringing in monthly rent, that's smart debt. Or if you take a business loan that helps you grow and earn more than the cost of that loan, that's leverage working in your favor. The key is not to fear debt. It is to control it. For me, I know what I owe, what I'm paying, and what return I'm getting in exchange. That way, debt becomes a tool, not a trap. Next on my list today is I never view money as a status symbol. When I first started paying attention to money, I noticed a big difference in mindset between the middle class and the wealthy. A lot of middle class folks say things like, I want a nicer car or I want a bigger house. That's totally natural, but it's focused on looking successful. Wealthy people, on the other hand, they're not chasing status. They're chasing freedom. Freedom of money, choices, and opportunities. They let their lifestyle stay behind their income, which helps their wealth quietly grow over time. And finally, I will never trade time for money forever. I used to work incredibly hard, giving everything I had to the companies I worked for. I stayed late, took on extra projects, exceeded every expectation, and I was rewarded with a paycheck. But here's the catch. The moment I left the company, that income stopped. All those hours, all that energy no longer translated into money. It sounds obvious, but most people live exactly like this, trading time for money. We work, we get paid. We stop working, the money stops. And that's when I came to realize that if I don't want to work until the last day of my life, I need another way to earn. Sure, when I first started, I didn't have much, so trading time for money made sense. But once I saved a little, I started flipping the equation. I made money work for me. I built systems, income streams, and assets that make money even while I sleep. Investments, businesses, and real estate. That's how I moved from being paid for hours worked to being paid for value created. And if you don't want to trade your time for money forever, check out this video where I break down 6 passive income ideas that can help you build financial freedom, retire early, and live life on your own terms. I'll see you there.